Stupid camera always cuts off on me. But anyway, as I was saying, like the story time. So Floor is now in, Annette is now out, and like I say, Floor Jansen takes to the stage, and every song she sings is just like she's personalizing it and making it her own. But while she's doing this, she's really setting the ground for what a female metal singer can be capable of. And it's not just the high notes; it's the everything in between. Where the only other singer that I can think of that would give Flora a run for her money in terms of just technical abilities would be Annika Grisbergen. I probably butchered the name. The one that worked with Devin Townsend. Because she has the 3-octave range, and she seems to be able to go high, low, and all that. But even at that, I would still say Flora Jansen could do more. She has more vocal range and more vocal styles than any other metal female singer I've ever seen. Like, she just does everything incredibly well. She doesn't do a lot of the growling. Nightwish is not really a growl type band, but I think the queen for that would be probably the arch nemesis singer. I think she's probably the best at the growl, right? But if you go by everything else, Floor Jansen's got it. She's got the high head voice, insane, stratosphere notes that she can hit, and she can bring them right down to the chest voice, and she can belt. She does all three of these things extremely well. In fact, I even though I like the sound of Taria better, like for vocal, like just the vocal sound, I think Floor is so much clearer, so much more technically able to change her voice into different things. And the one number that really sets this beyond is Ghost Love Score live, the 2013 Walkin' video. That one, everybody reacts to it pretty much the same. So I would just say if you're going to watch it, it's the 2013 Walkin'. It's one you'll see like the flaming bullhead, so watch that one. These are the rules. Headphones on, as loud as you can possibly stand the volume. Lights out, full screen, not on a cell phone or anything like that, but like on a big screen. Watch it, lights out. Do not stop the video for anything. Just no interruptions, and just from that point, I'll just say you're welcome. You will be in for an experience. And even if you're not into that genre of metal, it's just the song it's even more of a masterpiece live than it is in studio, if you ask me. It's just so good. Just the way the drums start off with like you hear just the machine gun, the slow machine gunning that he's doing with those really dramatic, synth and guitar, that stuff. Like, it's just so well done. And then she comes in again like a Valkyrie, and it's just like this angel voice, and then it goes into this Valkyrie voice, and then it goes into much more things. Again, I don't want to spoil it for you because it's definitely I can't imagine just how awesome it would have been to be there, to hear that power, like I was talking about in the first video, where when you go to a live concert, the sound goes through you rather than you actually just hearing it. Like, you feel, even if you had perfectly good earplugs in, that you couldn't hear a sound out the outside world at the volume, you would still hear the song because you would feel every vibration. You'd be like a bat or something. You know what I mean? It'd be just the, you would feel it. It's how Beethoven wrote his last symphony. He cut the legs off the piano, put them on the floor, and you could just tell by the vibration what note he was hitting. That's the power of music, right? So pretty cool. So Floor Jansen, I think, is the metal queen of all time, just because of that. Now, I've watched a lot of other performances for her. Again, being an opera singer, she like I say, she does all kinds of stuff outside Nightwish as well. Like, this woman is quite the character. She's into just about everything, right? She even does. She sang an opera for a guy. I guess it was in Dutch or whatever, whatever language it was in. And he was an opera singer, and they sang Phantom of the Opera together. And of course, this is just like on a little TV show type of thing, and she nails it. She nails the note. She nails everything. But she also sings another kind of song. It was the guy's mother had. It was an older guy, so I guess his mother's no longer with us. But he sang. You can see this guy was like about to tear up. Like, I mean, I can imagine you would have chills just sitting there listening to this woman, live. So I mean, if it sounds that good on the headphones, that's going to sound that much better live, right? So yeah, her technical abilities, I think, is what gives her the true metal queen status. And although I could say, like, you might have a favorite sounding singer, but there's favorite sounding, but then if you judge them by their technical abilities to just change, and something that Flora could do that I haven't seen any other female singer able to do, is just change from one voice to another. This voicing to that voicing. Here's my thunderous Valkyrie voice. Here's my angelic voice. Here's my siren voice. Here's my, raspy kind of in-your-face growl. Here's my belt. Here's my, hooting and hollering to the heavens. You know what I mean? And so her technical abilities, it means she has a really good ear for music, for sure. I do believe she does play a couple of instruments, piano, guitar, and something else. And that would also help her, too, because then she would understand the band much better, too. Because a lot of times singers that don't play instruments don't really understand what the band is doing. Like, they might understand the beat, they might understand the timing that they gotta sing and not sing. But when they understand how to play an instrument, they can get an extra advantage there, because then they understand, well, it would be really cool if I did this over this on top of this, right? And that's one thing that, even Nuno Betancourt, I remember he was saying, because he's a multi-instrumentalist, everybody knows him for his guitar, but he says he'll go like for months playing a different instrument just for the sake of it. And it just, when you go back to the guitar, it's just like you understand your guitar better in relative to everything else around you. Well, it's the same with your voice, right? When you play guitar and you sing, now you have two instruments that you're trying to master. And when you play and you sing, one of the things you get is that you can now really understand how to interact with those instruments, which again is an advantage that most, just singer people don't get as that advantage that you could, because they don't understand the full relationship that they can have with the instrument. So a guy who sings with a bass is going to sing different than a guy who sings with a guitar, right? But if he plays both and plays piano on top of that and drums on top of that and violin or bagpipes or whatever on top of that, it's just like you can hear everything in your head before you even strike a note, and you can put things where you want. And that's, I think, the ability she has, just from listening to her. Like, everybody seems to have, like I say, a floorgasm. Like this, she blows everybody away, right? So I think, like, there's a lot of great metal singers out there, male and female. One of the things that I liked about Nightwish is the duet thing, where you have the guy sing and the girl sing. Sometimes sing together. So you have Marco. I think Marco and Floor is a better fit than what Marco and Terja was. Teria was a better fit. Although both were absolutely awesome fits. You know what I mean? So it's like I say, it's not so much that I'm judging her on Floor on whether I like her more or don't like her more. I'm judging her on just her sheer abilities, and I've yet to see another female metal singer that can do all those things, and she does it all in one song. The Ghost Love Score, like, and in every other song you hear her in, like, she doesn't go through her whole things that she can do, but she does so many things. Even vocal coaches sit there going, and that's live. You know what I mean? Like, it is just something else to see. Yeah, so other bands that I like right now, Visions of Atlantis, I'm starting to rediscover them a bit. They've just come up with some new songs and stuff like that. And I'll probably cover them because I think they do the duet thing probably the best that I've seen so far. Evanescence, they do a little bit of, like, Nightwish, Evanescence, it's like Whatever the guy does sing, he only sings like a little part, and that's it. Evoluti, again, fantastic band. Whatever the guy sings, whenever he sings, he only sings a little bit. So it's mostly the female singer singing all the time, right? With Visions of Atlantis, it's almost like a 50-50, and then a lot of singing together, which I really like that too, which makes it very fairy tale. But I mean, but they're pirate metal, right? So like, it's really cool what they do. So it works for that. Like you get this, awesome metal duet, male and female singer, which gives you the high range and the lows out and the mids all at the same time, right? So in other words, it becomes the perfect voice. But if a voice has to stand alone and it has to have the head voice and chest voice kind of coming out at the same time to give you your highs and lows and your mids, it's Floor Jansen. You know what I mean? Like it's her. Like I'm like, wow, just wow. Like that's incredible. Like again, if you were to visualize what a Valkyrie was, it would be her. So is it important to care about it? Not really important in that sense, but if you're a musician or somebody creative, you can learn a lot from that. In fact, I've been watching what she does a lot. I'm like, hey, I'm going to try some of that and see how it translates to a male voice, right? Because it's not always about the scream, but like it just like the dynamics of how she sings. It's like, hey, if that can improve people's like, if you were to take lessons from this lady on how to sing, the world would inherit a lot more phenomenal music. You know what I mean? Which would improve the quality of life for people. In a lot, maybe that much, but it would improve, right? So that's why I like analyzing stuff like that. It's just like, how can you get more out of it, right? And I still, again, I have to sit there and say that I think out of like the woman that comes along and takes the crown from her is going to have to be that much more. You know what I mean? Like it's going that is almost impossible to like that. It's a 1 in a billion chance you'll get somebody that has that vocal ability, right? I'm not saying there isn't people that can't belt louder or higher or whatever, but I'm saying in the styles that she does it, the way she does it, whether she's singing opera or whether she's singing just regular, like the nightwish metal stuff, symphonic metal, it's like even most of the opera singers can't do what she does. You know what I mean? Like opera and opera singers do translate well to metal, but it's like they're kind of a bit of fish out of water in a sense if they're not looking at it right. Like how do you bring the classical world into the metal world? Neoclassical world. But if you look at it like that, you can say, okay, yeah, you can, just take this lady and plop her right in the middle of this metal band, and it's going to sound awesome and it's going to work because you can, like, again, understanding the instruments and in relation to it, you can understand how you can throw, the notes to cut through, over, or stay with the instruments rather than always trying to sing over everything. You don't have to. Sometimes you can sing under stuff. And there's like metal singers, for example, guy metal singers tend to sing under the instruments. So it goes lower. So you got these kind of mid-range raunchy guitars with a, like a really powerful, think like Ronnie James Dio. Like, I mean, they're singing in tune. I'm not saying they're not singing, but they're bringing their chest voice down enough that you're just getting pure belting power. And, like, again, Ronnie James Dio would be a perfect example of this, like his, his like Holy Diver, or of course Rainbow in the Dark. What an awesome song, right? But he brings it to you with thunder, right? So the guitars and everything are thundering and the drums are thundering, but he's cutting under them so that punches you in the face, and the guitars are just backing it in the bass and all that. Well, whereas she's doing something a little different, she's kind of going over some of the stuff and then up and then down to meet it again. So you get this like really high belt and then a head voice, and it pierces the top, and then it comes down and it just streamlines with the music, and it's very impressive to see. And again, for somebody who's not a musician, you probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but you can kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about by the ups and down with the voice. It follows a melody, and again, it can stand out of the music while the music is just there to back. But then, what happened if you were just to take Ghost Love Story by Ghost Love Score by itself and just remove all the band with either Teria or Floor, and you just removed all the band, and it was basically just a classical opera at that point? Would it stand by? Would these vocals just stand by themselves? I believe absolutely. She could basically, there could be nobody else on stage, and you would still get a spectacular performance. Singing just with the sing, the vocals can stand on their own, and I've always looked at instruments that way. Whether it's playing violin, guitar, or whatever. If you're on stage, can you make the instrument, mandolin, whatever it is, can you make that instrument stand on its own? You know, like, in other words, the instrument is the band. Now, if you had two instruments, you got a vocal and a guitar, a vocal and a mandolin, vocal and a violin, whatever. Could you make that instrument stand by itself, or will it sound thinned out? And this becomes a challenge to be able to accomplish that. That's what I love about my 12 strings and my mandolins, is that they easily stand on their own. You don't have to add anything else to it to make it sound cool. And if you do it right and you do add to it, you can really work the dynamics between these instruments, and suddenly you've got, it sounds like a whole band there, but it's really just one thing. You know, it's just one thing standing on its own. So for a vocalist to have that ability, that's like, very few vocalists, male or female, have that ability, where they can, like, other than probably opera singers, you know what I mean? Where, you know, you do get opera singers where there's no piano, there's nothing, it's just singing. That's hard to pull off. You know what I mean? That'd be very difficult to pull off. You know, just singing. You see violinists, solo violinists, they could pull it off, right? Because they create pieces that do stand on their own, and you know, usually classical music, right? Where other people, they need a lot more backing behind them. You know, like, think of, let me try to see if I can do a comparison here. Yeah. Hillary Hahn versus, what's that girl's name? Does electric violin there. I just had her name in my head there for a second. I'll think of it. I will think of it. She's like probably the most popular electric violinist. But anyway, what the hell's her name? So Hillary Hahn plays classical. She does Paganini and stuff like that. Stands on its own. Okay. What the heck is her name? Always dressed up like a leprechaun, dancing around there. The heck is her name? I just saw a video from her the other day. But anyway, could she play something and stand on its own the way the stuff she plays? Probably not. It needs backing to it. It's still good and everything like that, but it can't stand on its own, right? And whereas a classical player, it stands on its own. You only need one instrument. But if you add other instruments, it will work, right? So again, when we look at a vocalist to stand on their own while in the mix of a thing, of a song, or songs, whatever, and then on top of that, delivering a really powerful stage presence, that is pretty cool. Anyway, that's the other thing I would say is stage presence wise, Floor Jansen's stage presence is awesome. You know, great interaction with the audience, the whole friggin' highly aggressive windmilling with the hair and all that, and headbanging, very cool. Another one that has really good stage presence is the Visions of Atlantis. I'm going to do a video on them too, what I think of them. I think they're really brilliant the way they do stuff live. They're not as big yet, but they know how to interact with the audience and stuff like that live. So yeah, the stage presence. I mean, all three Nightwish singers had good stage presence. There's no doubt about that. But obviously, with Teria, it's just her haunting presence, siren-like presence. Anyway, like she just has this majesticness about her, right? You know, the long gothic dresses, the long black hair, and just that, just very hauntingly, like she's a siren. You know what I mean? And she really has a good stage presence that way. Um, not as aggressive with the headbanging, but she's not a very hefty woman. You know what I mean? Like she's pretty tiny, right? So, but you see Floor, like again, she's a Valkyrie. She's like a warrior princess, right, or a warrior queen. So the hair's flying all over the place. It's just fantastic. Then really good audience interaction. Like, and you could tell like the band really likes each other. And are getting what they want out of each other. Like in terms of, okay, when we play live, it's all about the crowd. It's always about the crowd. But you'll see them interact with each other on stage, and it's like you could tell these people are having the time of their lives. Like you'll see, Floor walk up to the keyboard player. The keyboard player's like kind of like look at the audience. They're like, yeah, I know, it's crazy. The guitar player, he walks around, he touches people. He pats them on the shoulder, stuff like that. You'll also see them, walking off stage, like kind of shoulder to shoulder, arm in arm type of thing. And you see that kind of embracement, and that you've got, that they're like it's special that what they're doing. Like they know that the audience is going nuts and having the time of their lives, and that they're giving a gift to the world in that sense, right? And that's what I think good musicianship is always about, is giving the best performance you can to the people so that they enjoy themselves the most. So it's not really even about your own ego. Like you can tell when people perform with ego and when people perform without ego. When they perform with ego, it can be really good. It can still be really good, but the audience never gets the thank you. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like, how's a way to word this? It's kind of like the audience is there for them and that's it, right? But when it's without ego, the audience is always welcomed into the performance and really appreciated when they're there. When they're participating in the performance, whether they're headbanging or cheering or crowd surfing or whatever they're doing. Crowd surfing is one of the most odd, like that's heaven to me. That if you've never crowd surfed, it's pretty funny. You get tossed around, you go by other people crowd surf, you high five them when you go by. If you get close enough to the stage, you can high five the band members or whatever, stuff like that. But that audience interaction and participation, it comes from people who want to give you music that they've written the best they can write it and deliver it. And I think the best metaphor I heard, or way of looking at it, is this band called Sugarland, the guitar player Christian Bush. He said something really interesting, and it stuck with me because I was like, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. He goes, if I were going to go to, he's like, it's great when people buy our albums or whatever, or download our music or whatever. He goes, but you really got to come and see us live. He goes, the way they did their show is if they were to go and see a show live, what would they want to see themselves, right? And they incorporated that into their performances. And I think that's kind of what Nightwish does too. Obviously they got the lights and the fire. Amazing nobody gets blown up in the process of the show, right? So, but it's awesome either way. But the thing is that they know that the show is going to leave a long life impact on people, right? That they're going to be talking about it till the end of time, right? And if you can do that even on a small stage or a big stage, it doesn't matter. And this is where, like some of the small stage stuff that they've done. And I see other bands that are like, kind of like up and coming on smaller stages, and they still put on the same performance as if they were playing at one of these giant music festivals. And that tells you a lot about the band and how much they care about, what they're putting out there to their audience, right? And again, when you get it right, it makes the world a little bit of a better place, because people will crave that more than the crappy things they're dealt with in life, right? They will always enjoy that, and it just kind of keeps people in a like music can keep people in a checked mindset, right? If you listen to really depressing music, you tend to get depressed. If you listen to really overly happy music, you tend to get annoying to everybody because you're always so hyper. It's usually my problem. I'm always driving people nuts. Um, but that's the whole thing. Like, music makes you feel, and when somebody can deliver music in such a way that it just like rips through you. Again, you got a Siren, then you've got a Valkyrie, and you got Tinkerbell. And again, all are meant as compliments. All are meant as compliments. It's the way where they shine, right? So yeah, I guess I know it's kind of a strange video for me to make on, because I normally don't talk about stuff like this as much. The only time I do is when I go to a jam night live or an open stage, hopefully gigs someday again, and then do my ride home in my truck or car or whatever shabby vehicle I have at the time, and just tell you how great epic the night was, and I spend most of the time telling you about how the crowd reacted, and how they had a good time, and how you feed off of that. So that these people that are standing in front of 80, 100,000 people, when they nail it, when they nail the show, it's like that that is fulfillment beyond belief. Like, that everybody got the best out of it. The audience got the best out of it. The band got the best out of it, and then it gets to get shared